Brad Peterson is a professional. His profession is selling cars, Subaru cars. Brad's been selling Subaru vehicles for the past 3 years. He's good at what he does. He uses the phone as a sales tool to assist him in attaining his main goal, selling cars. At any moment, the phone could ring at Brad's desk. That means someone needs information. It could be someone he knows, a former customer. It could also be someone he doesn't know, or a customer's friend who likes Subaru vehicles, or possibly a former dealership customer ready to re-enter the market. But most likely it will be a call from someone Brad has never talked with before. In any case, it's an incoming call, and quite possibly Brad's next sale. There it is now. Let's listen in on Brad's conversation as he answers this incoming call.
Good morning, sales department. This is Brad Peterson.
Yes, Brad, I'd like some information on your Legacy model.
That's great. The Legacy is probably the best overall value in the entire Subaru line. And in order for me to give you complete and accurate information, I'd like to ask you a few questions. That's fair enough, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
What type of equipment are you looking for?
Automatic, air conditioning, and I think we'd like the power windows.
Are you interested in a four-door sedan or a station wagon model?
Well, definitely a sedan.
And is the car going to be used primarily for business or for pleasure?
Well, it'll be our family car.
How many people are there in your family?
Well, besides my wife and myself, we have 2 children, ages 12 and 14.
Now, concerning the Legacy, are you interested in the L or the LS model?
I think I'd like the regular one, nothing overly fancy, probably the L model.
Front-wheel drive or full-time four-wheel drive?
Oh, well, I've heard some good things about your front-wheel drive.
Good. And as you might already know, Subaru pioneered front-wheel drive among all Japanese imports. That gives us over 20 years of solid front-wheel drive technology, which is pretty impressive, isn't it?
I guess so.
You don't have to purchase it today, do you?
No.
Good. Now, while I'm checking on which Legacy models are available, why don't I also check on what's coming in the next few days as well? It'll take just a few minutes. By the way, are you calling from home or from work?
From work.
And what is your number there?
555-1480.
Any extension?
No.
As I said earlier, my name is Brad Peterson, and I'm speaking with...
Bill Dexter.
Mr. Dexter, we try to maintain a good availability of Legacy models to satisfy all of our customers. If you're able to hold for 20 to 30 seconds, I'll check on what's available. Are you able to hold?
Well, sure.
Did you notice that Brad asked if it was all right with the prospect to put him on hold? Brad also said he'd be on hold for 20 to 30 seconds. This way the prospect knows that he'll be on hold for a while and will not become impatient waiting. Here comes Brad with the information.
Mr. Dexter, looking over our list, we have several Legacy sedans available that would fit your needs. When were you thinking of coming in? This afternoon or this evening?
Well, I'll try and make it in tonight.
Would before or after dinner be a better time for you?
After dinner would be better.
How does 7:30 sound?
That sounds great to me.
Will Mrs. Dexter also be joining you?
Yes, she will.
Great. Let me write this down on my calendar. It's Mr. and Mrs. Bill Dexter at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Mr. Dexter, if you can't make it by 7:30, could you please give me a call?
Okay.
By the way, do you have a pencil or a pen handy?
Yes.
Good. Please write down my name. It's Brad Peterson. That's Peterson of Summit Subaru. Of course, our phone number is 555-1256. Do you know where we're located, or do you need directions?
No, I think I can find my way there okay.
Great. But just as a reminder, we're at the corner of 6th and Belmont, right across the street from the Cottonwood Mall. If there's anything else I can help you with before you come down, just let me know. I'll look forward to meeting you and Mrs. Dexter this evening at 7:30. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Brad is a real sales professional. He's learned his trade well. He took control of the call the instant he picked up the phone. He made sure to give his name, asked some preliminary qualifying questions, obtained the prospect's name and phone number, and set up an appointment. Now let's go back and take a look at a true professional at work.
Good morning, sales department. This is Brad Peterson.
Brad has made sure to give his name last, prior to the prospect speaking. This way, being the last thing Brad said, it has a better chance of being remembered. And you certainly want the prospect to remember your name. The next thing Brad does is to reinforce the prospect's choice of Subaru vehicle and establish call control by asking one simple question.
That's great. The Legacy is probably the best overall value in the entire Subaru line. And in order for me to give you complete and accurate information, I'd like to ask you a few questions. That's fair enough, isn't it?
Brad can now go on to ask some basic qualifying questions, obtaining information about his prospect while at the same time getting the prospect accustomed to answering questions, all leading up to asking for the caller's name and phone number. Now, Brad has also found out some useful information. The prospect is married, has 2 children, and will use the car for pleasure. Even though the prospect has not said it, with 2 children, safety should be an important consideration. I'm sure early in his sales presentation this evening, Brad will talk about the extra measure of safety afforded by the Subaru Legacy, especially if the children are present. Brad could talk about features like the child safety rear door locks, or the rear passenger restraint system, or even the steel door beams. Now, not every prospect will be willing to give you their name and phone number. So let's look at a technique Brad uses with the reluctant caller.
You don't need to know my name. I just want some information.
Well, sir, I can certainly appreciate how you feel, because I've had a couple of unfortunate experiences dealing with salespeople myself. But let me share one thing with you, if I may. Sir, when you're dealing with money of this magnitude, please make sure, for your own benefit, that you're putting your trust in a professional salesperson like myself. Now, sir, I'm speaking with...
In this case, Brad was honest and firm, and again he took control of the call. If the caller is still reluctant, Brad will back off, but he'll try again before ending the conversation to get a name and phone number. For example,
our sales literature contains a lot of useful information, which I'd like to mail to you right now. I'll need your name and address. Now, sir, your name is?
If Brad gets the name this time, he'll send out sales literature along with his business card immediately. Brad also uses the incoming call as an opportunity to talk about his Subaru product. Let's see how Brad responded to the caller's inquiry about a new Legacy.
Oh, well, I have heard some good things about your front-wheel drive.
Brad is prepared to talk about any of the key features of the Subaru product line, and more importantly, set Subaru apart from the competition. So when a caller mentions front-wheel drive, Brad responds this way.
Fine. And as you might already know, Subaru pioneered front-wheel drive among all Japanese imports. That gives us over 20 years of solid front-wheel drive technology, which is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Or if a caller mentions four-wheel drive, Brad responds.
Excellent. Subaru pioneered four-wheel drive among Japanese imports, and more people purchase Subaru four-wheel drive passenger cars than all other four-wheel drive cars combined. That certainly says something about the value and popularity of our product, doesn't it?
And if the prospect wants to make sure his next vehicle has the added safety of anti-lock brakes, Brad would reply,
that certainly is a very important consideration that many people share with you, sir. The beauty of the Subaru anti-lock brake system, unlike many competitors who offer only a two-channel system, is that ours is a full four-channel ABS, so that each wheel can be handled independently for more precise and responsive braking. So that's a big Subaru plus, isn't it?
Or if the caller mentions a wagon, Brad would say,
that's an excellent choice, because Subaru has been the #1 selling import station wagon for the past 9 consecutive years. That certainly makes a strong statement for value that's built into our wagon, doesn't it?
And if a caller is interested in a value-oriented Justy, Brad says,
terrific. The Subaru Justy is the lowest priced four-wheel drive passenger car sold in the U.S. Couple that with the fact that it has the highest rated fuel economy of any four-wheel drive sold in America. That's a great 1-2 combination, isn't it?
What Brad is doing is planning his incoming call. Now that may sound strange, planning an incoming call. You can certainly plan an outgoing call, but how do you plan an incoming call? It's simple. Just do as Brad does. Plan to take control. Know your control questions. And use Subaru product information to reinforce the caller's choice. Brad has some key points to remember for incoming calls. They are, take control. Slow the prospect down. Stop the shopper from shopping. Obtain the prospect's name and phone number. And set an appointment. Brad also has a series of control questions that he uses to either get or maintain control. Let's listen to some.
What type of equipment are you looking for? Which model are you considering? Light or dark color? What experience have you had with Subaru? You don't have to purchase it today, do you? Are you calling from home or work? What is the number there? Would before or after dinner be a better time for you? This model comes in a 4-door sedan or a station wagon. Which do you prefer? What kind of a car will you be trading? Could I ask you a favor?
The idea is to keep it simple and general and to get an appointment. Why is it so important to get that appointment? Well, a recent survey indicates that 48% of the business available to your dealership is originated via the incoming telephone call to the sales department. Incoming callers represent a tremendous source of potential buyers. Furthermore, research tells us that your closing ratio jumps to 58% for those prospects who come into your dealership via a preset appointment by you, the salesperson. When you consider that the average closing ratio is only 14% for those cold-up prospects that walk in and shop, how smart is it to spend the majority of your time waiting on the showroom floor for a 14% chance to close the sale? Why spend so much time on those prospects who research says most likely will not buy? Don't gamble with your future. Play the percentages. Work on cultivating phone prospects into satisfied Subaru owners. You should be spending the bulk of your time converting those phone calls into appointments. When you do, you'll watch your sales soar. That's what Brad does.
Thanks very much for the call. Bye-bye. I've made a real good living selling Subaru vehicles. I think of myself as a professional automobile salesperson, and so do my customers. The key to my success is the phone. It's become a friend of mine and a major source of income to me. But I'll share something with you. At first, I was afraid to use the phone. Then I found out what a powerful sales tool it really can be. It all had to do with planning my calls, both incoming and outgoing, and keeping control of the conversation. If you follow these tips on planning and control, I'm sure that you'll look on the phone as an important part of your sales success. Excuse me. Good morning, sales department. This is Brad Peterson.
The incoming call represents a definite sales opportunity for you. You can use it to your advantage, as Brad does, or you can look upon it as a nuisance. One way makes you money. The other way just wastes your time. But in either case, you've got to answer the phone. You might just as well make it pay off for you. It's for you.
Okay, guys, wake up. We got a lot of things to cover. Let's update the board. Johnson?
0.
Fredericks?
0.
Davis?
0.
Big goose egg. And Wilson, yeah, he's history as of yesterday. Everett?
Half.
A half. Peterson?
2.5.
And Morgan?
0.
Another big goose egg, huh, Morgan? See if I can add this high, fellas. That'd be 3, wouldn't it? Morgan, how do you pay your bills? All right, get your used car list out. I want you to delete the following inventory: stock number 1048, 1172, and 1204. Now add the following cars to the list that Frank purchased at the auction yesterday: 1990 Legacy L, automatic, air, power locks, power windows, low mile. Everett, where's your list?
I guess I left it at home.
You guess you left it at home. You guess you left it at home. Everett, you are about the weakest excuse for a car salesman I've ever seen. The next time you leave your list at home, your history. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
Everett, come to the party. Wake up and smell the coffee. What are you grinning about, Fredericks?
Nothing.
You know, Fredericks, you really irritate me. When are you going to take this business seriously? Okay, Fredericks. Starting today, you're in charge of locking up all the used cars every night. If you miss one, you're history. All right, gentlemen. This starts today. Effective immediately, we are all going to get on the phones. 20 calls a day, completely logged, filled out, and given to Frank before you get off shift. If Frank doesn't get your list, it's your fault. And gentlemen, you will have plenty of time to seek new employment. Do I make myself clear? New owners lists. Should be enough there for all of you for 60 days. If you run out, we've got more. Come on, guys, get with the program. Look at this. We got the inventory, we got the advertising, we got people to contact. Now, come on, get off your duffs and let's sell some cars.
What you have just seen is an example of a sales manager telling his sales staff what he wants them to do, but not training them how to go about doing it. So without proper telephone training, a salesperson could possibly make his calls like this.
Hello, is this Mr. T. Johnson? This is Chuck Morgan from Summit Subaru, and I was wondering if you might be interested in buying a new or used car today. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time anyway. Goodbye. Hello, this is Chuck Morgan calling from Summit Subaru, and I was wondering if you might be in the market to purchase a car today. Okay, you're not. Okay. Yeah, well, thank you for your time. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Chances are Chuck will not be very successful with his outgoing telephone calls. If he continues to do what he's doing, he'll get dejected, and he'll continue to lose his enthusiasm for making outgoing calls because he's not received proper training. Now, let's look at Brad Peterson, a professional Subaru salesperson in every sense of the word. Brad knows how important telephone skills can be in developing new business on his own, business that he brings in himself. Let's observe Brad as he calls a potential prospect off a competitive make owners list.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. Am I getting you at a bad time? I'm with Summit Subaru, and my name is Brad Peterson. The reason I'm calling is I was reviewing a list of affluent owners in our area who own competitive import vehicles. Do you still own your '87 Nissan Sentra? How many miles do you have on it? Great. With such low mileage, it's going to last a long time. Mr. Johnson, is that the only vehicle in the household? Oh, really? What other vehicles are there in the family? How many drivers are there for those 3 vehicles? Mr. Johnson, of the 3 drivers in your household, who do you feel is most likely to be in the market next? What made you think yourself?
Brad's a true Subaru sales professional who knows that he needs to take control of each call by having an organized game plan. Now, further on in the conversation, Brad was able to confirm an appointment with Mr. Johnson, but not before he encountered a stiff price inquisition as to the trade-in value of Mr. Johnson's '87 Sentra. Let's see how Brad handles this delicate matter.
Mr. Johnson, it really wouldn't be fair to try to appraise your '87 Sentra over the phone. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but somebody told me that my car should be worth $4,800. Could I get that much?
Mr. Johnson, I have no idea what it would bring on trade. First of all, I'm not a professional appraiser, and even if I were, it would be physically impossible to appraise your Sentra over the phone. There are so many factors to be considered when determining the value of a vehicle that if I tried to estimate its worth without my manager seeing it and driving it, I would more than likely give you unrealistic figures. And then you wouldn't have much confidence in me. Mr. Johnson, as a professional Subaru salesperson, I want to earn your respect by being completely honest and not misleading you. You see what I'm saying, don't you?
Well, it makes sense in a way, but I'd like to get some kind of an idea what the car's worth. I won't hold you to any figures, but you must have some idea what I can get for it.
Well, Mr. Johnson, let me share with you an example to sort of clarify the appraisal procedure. Let's say, for example, that you called your real estate broker to find out what your 4-bedroom, 3-bath home is worth on today's market. What kind of a response do you feel you'd get from your broker?
Well, I see what you mean, Brad. Obviously, he'd want to see my home before he determines its value.
It's the same principle we use in this business. Now, Mr. Johnson, let me share something with you, if I may, that will save you a few $100s. My manager makes a judgment call on how each car traded in has been maintained. If the car is dirty, it might indicate to him that the car hasn't been maintained very well, even though it has. And he'll probably hold back a little in reserve just in case he's right. So a clean car can be a big advantage to you, if you see what I mean.
Notice how Brad addressed the issue of trade-in value head-on. He did this by getting the prospect to agree with him that what he said made sense. Then Brad took further control and geared the conversation to the prospect's benefit, how a clean car would save the prospect money. Brad takes pride developing business on his own. Besides competitive owners, Brad keys in on hot prospects, orphan owners, and referrals. Now let's review these other 3 prospects and see the various telephone techniques that we recommend you consider using. The hot prospect is someone who has been in your Subaru showroom very recently and for whatever reason did not purchase at that time. The phone is an excellent way to stay in touch. This is the most important phone call you will make. Consider these 2 facts. Fact 1. A recent survey showed that 3 out of every 4 new Subaru prospects make their decision to purchase within 3 days from the time they enter the market. That's enter the market, 75%. Fact 2. Research has also shown that 70%, that's 7 out of 10, of the Subaru new car prospects that return to a dealership for a second visit will purchase a Subaru during that second visit.
Hello, Ms. Edwards.
Yes.
Am I getting you at a bad time?
No. Who's this?
I'm calling from Summit Subaru. I'm the salesperson you spoke with when you visited our showroom this morning. Brad Peterson?
Oh, right. Hi, Brad.
First of all, I wanted to get back in touch with you to personally thank you. And secondly, to check with you to see what questions you might have concerning the Subaru Legacy sedan that you showed such an interest in.
Well, I think you answered all my questions when I was at the dealership, but thanks anyway.
Then you feel that the Subaru Legacy sedan is definitely the car you'd like to own?
Well, actually, I'm really not all that sure, Brad.
Well, Ms. Edwards, if you had to pick one thing that's keeping you from investing in a new Subaru Legacy sedan, what would that one thing be?
Well, I'm looking at some other makes, and I'm just really not all that convinced that Legacy offers the best overall value.
What other vehicles are you considering?
Ford Taurus and Toyota Camry.
4-door models?
Yes.
This afternoon, I'll prepare a report of how the Legacy front-wheel drive sedan compares against the Taurus and the Camry, both fine vehicles. If I can share with you the overall better value that the Subaru Legacy offers, you'd certainly have to strongly consider investing in the Legacy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Ms. Edwards, It will only take about 15 minutes to share this valuable information to assist you in making an informed decision. Would tonight or tomorrow morning be better for you to come in?
Well, I could swing by in a couple of hours.
That'd be fine. Would 7:30 or 8 p.m. be better for you?
7:30 is better for me.
Great. I'll compile this comparison information and have it ready for your personal review at 7:30 this evening. I look forward to our appointment. And by the way, Ms. Edwards, if your plans change and 7:30 isn't a good time for you, could you please call me?
Sure, Brad.
Ms. Edwards, thanks for your time. I'll see you at 7:30.
This type of telephone selling consistently keeps Brad leading the board at his store. And you can bet that Brad will use his Subaru product knowledge to put together the kind of comparison that will point to the only obvious choice, the value-packed Subaru Legacy sedan. In order to give it his best shot, Brad will most likely key in on the Subaru quality difference. He'll emphasize outstanding legacy value by pointing out features like our horizontally opposed engine, multi-point fuel injection, our 4-channel anti-lock braking system available on certain legacy models, standard 4-wheel disc brakes, the ignition off headlights off system, standard hill holder feature with our 5-speed manual transmission, distributorless ignition, electronic engine management system, 4-wheel independent suspension, power-assisted rack and pinion steering, and the list goes on and on. Brad will present these features from the standpoint of how they will benefit Mrs. Edwards. Whether in person or on the phone, Brad always remembers to gear his presentation toward the prospect's benefit and not his. We can see how important it is to maintain control and guide the conversation in a natural, easy manner that doesn't pressure the prospect. Now let's look at 2 other prospect types, orphan owners and referrals. Orphan owners is a term to describe a Subaru owner who purchased their car from a salesperson no longer employed at the dealership. A referral, obviously, is a potential prospect referred to you by someone else. When talking with an orphan owner or a referral, your primary objective is to establish a continuing relationship between that prospect and yourself.
Hello, Mr. Carter.
Yes?
Am I getting you at a bad time?
No, you're not.
I'm calling from Summit Subaru. This is Brad Peterson.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Mr. Carter, the salesperson who sold you your Subaru vehicle is no longer with the dealership, and because your business is so important to us here at Summit Subaru, our owner, Mr. Reed, asked me to call you to let you know that there's someone here should you ever need any help or assistance.
Oh, that's good to know.
Do you still own the '87 Justy that you purchased here?
Oh, yeah, it's a great car.
How many miles do you have on your Justy, Mr. Carter? That's great. It sounds like you're getting your money's worth out of the vehicle. What other vehicles are there in your household? Who are the other drivers in your family? Mr. Carter, of the 3 drivers in your household, who do you think is the most likely to be in the market next? Why do you say Mrs. Carter? Well, I'd certainly like to help you over the next few months. Do you have a pen or a pencil handy? My name is Brad Peterson. That's Peterson at Summit Subaru. My number is 555-1256. Mr. Carter, I'd like to ask a small favor of you. I get most of my Subaru business from repeats and referrals from people just like yourself. Who do you know? Maybe a friend, relative, neighbor, or someone you work with who maybe not now, but sometime in the near future might be in the market to trade cars?
No one comes to mind.
Well, it doesn't have to be now, but possibly someone within the next few months or so.
I really can't think of anybody.
That's okay. It's not important. The important thing is you now have someone down here you can call. Thanks for your time, Mr. Carter. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Goodbye.
Brad established a valuable relationship with one of his dealership's orphan owners. Even though Brad did not get a referral, he certainly gave it a 100% effort, in a friendly way. Now let's watch Brad with a referral.
Mr. Stevens, a few days ago I spoke with a friend of yours, Mr. Jim Williams, who is a customer of ours. Well, I get most of my business here from repeats and referrals from people just like your friend. Now, I didn't call to put you on the spot, but as we were talking, your name came up as someone who, possibly in the near future, might consider purchasing some type of vehicle themselves. Is that true? Uh-huh. Mr. Stevens, what experience have you had with Subaru? Oh, I see. They certainly are reliable because 93% of all Subaru vehicles registered in the last 10 years are still on the road. That's certainly an enviable reputation, isn't it? What are you driving now?
Whether Brad is talking with a competitive owner, a hot prospect, an orphan owner, or a referral, he has a strong game plan. He's organized, prepared, and up for every call. Brad takes pride in developing business on his own. He believes that the greatest edge a salesperson can have is the degree of professionalism he possesses. Brad practices, drills, and rehearses his telephone call scenarios. He stands ready to give an outstanding performance every time he uses the phone.
The key to my Subaru success is the phone. It's a friend and a major source of my income. It's powerful. The key to my outgoing calls is control via an organized game plan. It's my competitive edge in a competitive market. You know, it's fun to be good.